Here's a timeline just to look at it with a percentage perspective. You can see it builds through the afternoon, and by 4, 5, 6 o'clock, that's when we're looking at our heaviest snow of the entire event. Kind of the calm before the storm right now as we take a live look at Walnut Hills, where it's 21 degrees. One thing of note, I want to point out the dew point. It's at 11 degrees. You see how that's a 10-degree temperature spread from temperature to dew point? It means there's very dry air in place. You probably already notice it with cracked lips or dry hands. That drier air will start out the event, meaning you may see some snow on radar, but it may not be reaching the ground because of the drier air at the surface. That's because of the high pressure system. That will get out of here quickly. You can see the snow already pushing through southern Illinois, parts of Missouri, and out into Kansas. That is on its way towards us. And by about 10 to 11 a.m., some areas will start to see some snow showers. I'll break it more in depth with that hour-by-hour future view, as well as a full look at your snow totals that we expect, along with some ice accumulation. That's in my full forecast. Brett, Caleb, we'll have that in just a few minutes.
All right, Brandon, well, thank you for that. All right, we are waiting to hear from head coach Zac Taylor any moment right now as he's going to take the podium. That is 5 in a row for the Cincinnati Bengals. If you're just joining us, they just defeated the Pittsburgh Steelers 19-17. A lot of nervous moments in this game, Caleb.
Let's take a look back at how the game went down. Here we go. Snow coming down in Pittsburgh tonight. AFC North football weather and everything on the line for the Bengals. They get the ball to start the night. They go right down the field, and it's Joe Burrow to Jamar Chase. 12 yards out and a touchdown. So 5 minutes and change into the night, the Bengals take a 7-0 lead. They go up 10-0 before Pittsburgh find some life. A mostly dismal night for the Steelers on offense, but they do find the end zone here. Najee Harris caps off a drive, aided by 2 pass interference calls, both on Cam Taylor-Britt, both of them on third down. Trouble for the Bengals on the O-line right now with injuries, right? Trouble in the red zone tonight as well. Mid-third quarter on third down, Joe Burrow sacked. He was slow to get up, went to the turf, head first, had to get looked at inside the blue medical tent, checked for a concussion, but did not miss a single play, returned for the next offensive drive. It was the Cade York show tonight. That's good because he had a good night. Bad because the Bengals couldn't finish drives. Hit 4 field goals, 4 for 4. Mid-fourth quarter we go. 12-point lead for the Bengals, but it's Pat Freiermuth, a 19-yard touchdown pass from Russell Wilson. So it's back to a one-possession game. It's 19-14. The Steelers would kick a field goal. It's 19-17 late in the game. Russell Wilson sacked, and the Bengals defense, how about that unit? Able to do enough to stop the Steelers in the end, and at several big moments, big points, big junctures of the football game, the defense was able to get it done for the Bengals tonight, who win 19-17. That is a fifth straight win to close the season for Cincinnati. Their playoff chances will come down now to what happens elsewhere in the NFL tomorrow. They need the Jets to beat the Dolphins, and they need the Chiefs, which will be mostly the backups, to beat the Broncos.
And this is just what's so amazing about everything is you look at week 1 when they lost to the Patriots. You saw those close ones against the Ravens, the Pittsburgh Steelers, the Washington Commanders, and you just have to really just say, I wish they were controlling their destiny. Unfortunately, they need some help from those 2 teams there.
Yeah, no, you take any game this season that the Bengals dropped. How many excruciating losses did we see this season for the Bengals? You take any one of those. You mentioned a couple of them. The Chiefs game that came down to that pass interference call late in the football game, 1-point game. You turn that into a win for the Bengals. Turn any of those into wins, and the Bengals clinched a playoff spot tonight. But that's, unfortunately for the Bengals, not how it happened, and they're going to need some help tomorrow.
All right, we are just hearing now head coach Zac Taylor is at the podium. Let's listen in.
Talk about why y'all haven't finished early this year. Why were y'all able to tonight in the fourth quarter?
Guys just believed that this is one we had to have. These guys came with the right attitude. They've had the right attitude. They've stuck together. I think this is appropriate end, to this game. Is what we've done the last 5 weeks. These guys are just at 4-8. Probably one of the lowest moments we've had. Sitting there staring at that record with the expectations we had, and the choice the guys made was just. Let's stick with the process, man. Stick with what we're doing, believing in each other. And everybody gave their most. We won 5 in a row, and we put ourselves in a position to cross our fingers tomorrow and cheer like a lot of fans.
Yeah, what was your message to the team knowing that you guys did as much as you could do and now it's out of your hands?
Winning in. That's our approach today. Winning in. That's all we can control. Win the game as if this was to get us into the playoffs, and then tomorrow's going to be out of our control.
So how much belief did you have in the defense that you
punted back to them, whatever, 2 minutes.
A lot. You know, they played well all game long. And the first touchdown drive at the end of the game, they made a great throw and catch on 3rd and long. They had the 2 penalties, you know, that our guys were competing. I was happy that we were going to compete. And so I can live with all that. So our defense had played really well all game long and felt confident that they could get that done.
Because you said winning in was mentality, does it feel like a playoff win then?
Not quite. You know, I know what a playoff win feels like. This was what we needed, though. You know, our guys came in with the right attitude. You know, Jay, shout out Jay for all the stats. I read all the stats, you know, of how hard five road primetime games, AFC North records in primetime. Jay always supplies it for me, and I give it to the team. So I'm just kind of the middleman in this situation. But tried to give them everything that had been hard, everything that stacks against us, because that's what this team responds to, and they responded the right way.
Coach, as you said, 4-8, your season could have went way in the other way.
Yeah.
You've come right back. What does that say about the culture and what you guys have
Yeah.
in that locker room that you've developed?
I think it says a lot. We work really hard on that. We focus on bringing the right guys that when the times are the toughest, they're going to respond the right way. That's coaches, that's players. And that's all we saw from this team when it got really tough. And so I'm really proud of how this team has stuck together, how everyone's given their best, and we were able to win 5 in a row, and we'll see what happens.
Was there something DJ could have done to get away from? I mean, I know there's a call, obviously, but was he in just a tough spot where he couldn't?
He can't see, so there's got to be a Peter call. You got to, you know, that's just got to be communication that happens across the board. The way it shook out, there's really nothing he could have done differently there.
Do you feel like you can't win this game without Trey Hendrickson? I mean, his performance tonight just continues to be
Yeah.
great.
I mean, he's you put him up there with all the best pass rushers and argue he's the best. You know, he's gonna run away with the sacks leaders tomorrow when the games are over, 17 and a half. He's just done it every single year since he's been here. All he does is produce. And again, I've said this many times. There's no, I'm not shocked by it. He's going to be in there the day the season ends, working out in the weight room, getting ready for the next year. That's what he does. And so he's put himself in a position to, when the moment is toughest and all season long, he's going to show up over and over again, and that's what he did today. And not surprised in the slightest by it. Really proud of Trey. The work he puts in every single practice, every single day of his life, it's for moments like these, and he showed up in a big way tonight.
A key part of the game was right in the late in the first half when right after the
Yeah.
Bengals interception, you guys kind of bounced your way a little bit there.
Sure. I mean, we got a 4th down stop. That was huge. You know, a 3rd down, I think, if I remember right, like a 2nd short, a 3rd and short, 4th and short. Defense responded the right way, and we were able to get some points going into halftime. And guess what proved to be the difference there? You know, just that chain of events. And that's kind of all season long, these games that did not go our way, it was those moments, not just at the end of the game, but in the 2nd quarter and the 3rd quarter where we didn't do enough to put ourselves in front with the command and the lead. And that's one of those moments today that we capitalized on.
How much, Zach, did you think you guys relied on that character that you built over the last 4 weeks?
A lot. I mean, there's just look around the league. I mean, it's hard, man, and it's you gotta trust the locker room. You know that they're handling everybody the right way, and I know it because I see it in the meetings and I see it at practice. So there was never a sense of doubt in my mind of how this team would respond at any moment in this season, whatever our record was. 4-8's the one that stands out the most. But I didn't sit in my office worried at night, how is this team going to respond? I knew how they'd respond because I'd seen it. And we all saw the results that had happened during the season. We all knew that it's kind of one of those years, man, where just some of those games didn't go our way, and those are things that we can certainly control. But again, I just can't state enough how proud I am of everybody that's involved in this Bengals organization and the way that they've stuck together, and we've finished with 5 in a row.
What's the biggest difference in the defense tonight between the first time you played?
I mean, I'm just proud of the way those guys played, man. They were tight in coverage. They really competed. They did a good job in the run game. I mean, I don't know how many yards they had going into that 4th quarter, but it probably wasn't a lot. And it was just these guys just responded and put them in some tough spots where they had to convert some 3rd downs, and our guys stepped up and made some plays. And just really proud of the effort by all those guys.
You got a big game from Mims coming out because Cody get hurt, which was probably the worst case scenario. and from Mims, what do you get?
He stepped up, man. He stepped up, and I know he's got a lot of pain, and proud of him going in there and delivering, and proud of Cody. Cody Ford's not a guy that we talk enough about. This guy has played left guard. He started at left tackle. He started at right tackle. Sometimes he does it with no practice during the week because it's a last-second switch. And we said this week, hey, you're going to start at right tackle against T.J. Watt, one of the best to ever do it. And he told me, I'll do whatever you want. If you want me to play quarterback, I'll play quarterback. And that's just, you got to have guys like that. So, yeah, the Trey Hendricksons and the Joe Burrows and Jamar, they're going to get a lot of credit. But you got guys like Cody Ford who are willing to do whatever it takes to get the job done, or a literal definition of a Bengal. And he's a guy that's unsung. He's not going to get a lot of praise. But for him to step up and Amarius to step up for those plays he needed to, and all those guys, Cordell, who's been in and out of the lineup and jumps back in there at left guard, and Ted, who's been so consistent all season long, and Orlando been playing through everything he's playing for, holding down the left side. It's just, it's a group that you can't praise enough for what they fought through.
Zach, can you give us any update on two people, Jermaine Burton? Any more details on why?
No, that was a coach's decision.
And Chase Brown, how close he was?
He was hopeful. We really didn't push it till today, and it didn't look. We did a couple of warm-up things, and you could tell he couldn't go, and he knew it. So he was trying to do everything he could. He wanted so badly to be out there and help the team, but a high ankle coming off of 5-6 days, that's tough. Deep down, we knew it, but we wanted to give him a chance, and it just wasn't the right thing to do.
What do you think this team's capable of if they are able to make the postseason?
They're capable of everything. They're not going to want us into this tournament, I promise you.
How much is it going to be rooting for Kansas City as much as you're rooting for Kansas City tomorrow?
I'm rooting against the Broncos and rooting against the Dolphins. I think that's how I'm looking at it.
What do you think this next 12, 18 hours is going to be like for you?
We got to get to work. Coaching staff, we got to prepare for Buffalo. At least we know who we'd be playing. So we'll get to work, and the players can get their bodies right over the next couple of days, and we'll see where it goes.
Talking about culture, you got a guy like Herbert who
Yeah.
is in his 8th game.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought him up. Khalil, it's a lot of snaps, going from minimal snaps to a ton of snaps, and you saw the way he stepped up at the end of the Denver game. Really proud of what he gave us tonight. He gave us some tough yardage, and it's a tough front to run against, and he gave us a lot, and I know his reception, yardage per reception is going to take a big hit tonight, but he was there where he needed to. He got the checkdowns. They were pretty tight with a lot of those checkdowns, so they made that part difficult for us, but proud of the job Khalil did, and in protection, I'll watch it all, but felt like he did a really good job there as well, which is big time for us.
What happened to Burrow when he went down? Did you know much about it, or was that something he was battling after that?
Not to my knowledge. It looked like a neck thing, and so I know they took him in the tent because you got to go through concussion protocol. But I've told you before, I don't ask questions I don't want the answer to, and he went back out there and it looked pretty good to me.
It was kind of an uncharacteristic performance from you guys in the red zone today. Did each trip tell a different story, or was there one main theme that kind of held you guys up?
No, I can't give you the best answer right now. We didn't score like we needed to. We had to burn it. We got a personnel when T was down. We had a personnel issue where we just sometimes need to get it sorted out. And so I used some timeouts where I prefer not to, but we had to, just because we wanted to make sure we didn't waste the play. And at that point, that was the most important thing.
Could T have come back in potentially in a different circumstance?
I'm not sure. I don't know. We just had to keep it moving and get our personnels, because that became the challenge at that point. Okay, thank you.
You just heard from head coach Zac Taylor, who made it very clear they're rooting against the Miami Dolphins and the Denver Broncos, but really saying that was a game that they all needed. But kind of acknowledging the rest of the year about some games that just didn't go their way, but they ended the season 9-8 by going 4-8. They were 4-8, and then they ended the season 9-8. But now the rest of their playoff hopes are out of their hands at this point.
Yeah, I think the most memorable thing you heard head coach Zac Taylor say there was nobody wants us in that tournament, in the playoffs.
And that's what's really interesting about it. It was a slow start for the Bengals, but they are playing the best football out of basically all teams in the NFL. And you can make the argument, let's just say Cincinnati gets into the playoffs. Is this the team that many do not want to face because they're peaking at the right time?
Well, and that's what it's all about. And really in any pro sport or any sport at any level, right? You got to peak at the right time. You got to be playing your best ball down the stretch. Now the Bengals just have to be able to get in, right? I think, I think the Jets can beat the Dolphins tomorrow. I think that the Chiefs, they could beat the Broncos.